What if the one thing missing from your morning routine costs less than $1 a day? And it's been quietly studied in peer-reviewed science for over a decade while most doctors still haven't heard of it? I'm talking about something that, when added to your morning coffee, simultaneously targets the 3 biological processes that make aging after 60 feel like you're losing the battle with your own body: visceral fat, muscle loss, and the exact cellular environment that cancer cells need to grow. One ingredient, 3 threats, and the science to back it up. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share changes how you think about breakfast forever. I'm Dr. Isabel Greer, and I've spent more than 10 years working at the intersection of metabolic medicine and preventive care for patients over 50. I've sat across from hundreds of people who were doing everything right, eating less, moving more, taking their supplements, and still watching their body composition get worse, their energy disappear, and their lab numbers trend in the wrong direction. And I kept asking myself, why? The answer wasn't in the mainstream medical literature. It was hiding in the metabolic research that hadn't made its way into clinical practice yet. Today, I'm going to walk you through exactly what I found. In this video, you'll learn why your body after 60 is fighting 3 biological battles at the same time, what a specific type of dietary fat does to interrupt all 3 simultaneously, the actual clinical studies with real numbers, and the exact morning protocol, step by step, so you can start tomorrow. Quick disclaimer before we dive in. This video is for educational purposes only. It is not a substitute for personalized medical advice. Always consult your physician before making changes to your diet, especially if you have existing health conditions or take medications. What I'm sharing here is based on published research, not a prescription. Point 1. Your body after 60 is fighting 3 wars simultaneously, and they're connected. Let me start with something no one tells you clearly enough. After 60, 3 major biological processes don't just slow down. They accelerate in the wrong direction, and they feed each other in a way that makes everything worse faster. War number 1, your mitochondria are dying off. Mitochondria are the tiny power generators inside every single cell in your body. When you were in your 20s, one muscle cell could contain up to 2,000 of them, all running at full capacity. By your mid-60s, studies measuring this directly in human muscle tissue show a decline of 40 to 50%. Your cells are literally running on half power. That's why you feel tired. That's why recovery from anything, a workout, a cold, a bad night's sleep, takes so much longer than it used to. War number 2, your repair crew has mostly gone home. Stem cells are your body's internal maintenance team. They patrol your tissues, find damage, a torn muscle fiber, an inflamed artery wall, a section of gut lining wearing thin, and they rebuild it. At 30, you had a full crew. By 65, research measuring circulating stem cell populations in human blood shows a drop of 60 to 70% compared to younger adults. Think about what it means to run a factory at 30% staffing. Things don't get fixed, damage accumulates, and when DNA damage builds up in tissues without healthy stem cells to replace those cells, that's when things can go very wrong. War number 3, your metabolism has switched to a fuel that cancer loves. After 50, your cells become progressively less sensitive to insulin. The enzymes that break down fat for energy get slower, so your body shifts. It starts relying almost entirely on glucose as its main fuel. Here's why that matters. Cancer cells are glucose addicts. They consume it at 10 to 50 times the rate of normal cells. When your entire metabolic system becomes glucose dependent, you are, without knowing it, creating the exact internal environment that cancer cells need to thrive. And here's the critical part. These 3 processes aren't separate problems. They amplify each other. Damaged mitochondria create oxidative stress. Oxidative stress damages stem cells. Fewer stem cells means less tissue repair. Less repair means more cells with damaged mitochondria. It's a spiral, and it speeds up with every decade past 50. The question is there one thing that targets all 3 at the same time? Yes. And I'll show you exactly what it is and how it works right now. Don't go anywhere. Point 2 is where the science gets genuinely surprising. Point 2. The ingredient and why this fat is completely different from every fat you've ever eaten. The ingredient is MCT oil, specifically a fraction of it called C8, or caprylic acid. Let me explain what makes it different, because this is not just another supplement trend. All dietary fats are built from chains of carbon atoms. The olive oil in your salad dressing, long chains, 14 to 24 carbons. Your body has to package those fats, run them through your lymphatic system, and slowly deliver them to your bloodstream. The process takes hours, and most of that fat ends up sitting in storage. MCT oil is structurally different. Shorter chains, just 6 to 12 carbons. That difference changes everything about what happens inside your body. MCT oil bypasses the lymphatic system entirely. It goes straight through your intestinal wall, directly into the portal vein, directly to your liver. And in the liver, it's immediately converted into molecules called ketones, specifically one called beta-hydroxybutyrate, or BHB. Here's what most people don't know. You don't need to be fasting. You don't need to be on a ketogenic diet. MCT oil produces ketones regardless of what else you've eaten. It's like flipping a metabolic switch no matter what your diet looks like. And those ketones, BHB specifically, are the key to everything else I'm going to tell you. Think of BHB as a molecular messenger that speaks directly to your cells, and the messages it sends are exactly what a body over 60 desperately needs to hear. Here's what BHB actually does. 5 specific mechanisms, each one backed by published research. Let's go through them. Point 3. Mechanism 1 and 2. Burning the right fat and rebuilding your cellular power grid. Mechanism 1. Burning visceral fat faster than almost anything studied in clinical trials. Researchers compared adults consuming 18 to 24 grams of MCT oil daily against a group eating equivalent calories from olive oil. Same calories, same exercise, just different fat sources. The MCT group lost 1.67 kilograms more body weight over 16 weeks. But the type of fat they lost is what matters. The MCT group showed nearly a 3% greater reduction in visceral abdominal fat. Not the soft fat under your skin, but the dangerous fat packed around your liver, pancreas, and intestines. The kind that drives inflammation and insulin resistance. And when researchers measured fat oxidation directly, the MCT group was burning fat at a rate 29% higher than the olive oil group. Why? Because BHB activates a set of nuclear receptors called PPAR alpha. And when those receptors switch on, your cells literally get the signal. Burn fat for fuel, and they do.
Mechanism 2. Growing new mitochondria and protecting your stem cells. Remember those power generators we talked about? A study measuring the effects of MCT supplementation on mitochondrial function found something remarkable. MCT oil activates a protein called PGC1 alpha, the master regulator of mitochondrial biogenesis. That means it tells your cells to build new mitochondria. After just 4 weeks of MCT supplementation, participants showed 37% higher expression of PGC1 alpha in muscle tissue. They had 28% more mitochondria in those cells, and their measured capacity to produce energy under physical effort improved by 25%. I'll put it this way. If each of your cells is a factory, and aging has taken you from 100 generators down to 50, half of which are barely running, MCT oil is the capital investment that starts construction on 30 new ones. Now here's the part that genuinely surprised me when I first read this research. BHB doesn't just build mitochondria, it protects stem cells. A study published in the journal Nature by Chung and colleagues showed that BHB is a direct regulator of hematopoietic stem cell quiescence. Quiescence means the stem cells are held in a protected, ready-to-deploy resting state, alive, undamaged, waiting for your body to need them. When BHB levels are low, which is exactly what happens in people over 60 running on glucose, stem cells exit that protected state prematurely. They burn out. They lose their ability to regenerate tissue when it's needed most. When BHB levels rise, as they do within hours of consuming C8 MCT oil, stem cells are maintained in that protected state. They last longer. They respond faster when activated. The pathway involves BHB inhibiting an enzyme called HDAC3, which preserves the gene expression profile that keeps stem cells healthy and functional. This is not theoretical. It was confirmed in human biological samples using flow cytometry and single-cell RNA sequencing. The science is solid. Stay with me. We're about to get to the cancer metabolism piece, and this one is important to understand clearly. Point 4. Mechanism 3 and 4. Starving cancer cells and preserving your muscle mechanism. 3. Creating a metabolic environment that cancer cells struggle to survive in. In 1931, biochemist Otto Warburg received the Nobel Prize for discovering something striking. Virtually every cancer cell he studied consumed glucose at an extraordinary rate, 10 to 50 times more than healthy cells, and fermented it into lactate even when oxygen was plentiful. This is called the Warburg effect. And for decades, scientists treated it as a quirk, a byproduct of cancer, not a driver. Research since then, including work from Thomas Seyfried at Boston College and Dominic D'Agostino at the University of South Florida, has established something much more significant. That metabolic dependency is central to cancer cell survival, and it creates a specific vulnerability. Cancer cells have dysfunctional mitochondria. They cannot efficiently use fat or ketones for energy. Healthy cells can. Healthy cells. So when you shift your metabolic environment, reduce available glucose, raise available ketones, Healthy cells adapt and keep functioning. Cancer cells are starved of the fuel they depend on. Their growth is impaired. A study by Poff and colleagues published in PLOS One demonstrated that a ketogenic diet, combined with ketone supplementation, significantly reduced tumor growth and extended survival in animal models of metastatic cancer. The mechanism was confirmed to be metabolic. I want to be straightforward with you here, the way I would be with a patient in my office. I am not telling you that MCT oil cures cancer. The human clinical data on MCT oil as a standalone cancer intervention is still being gathered. What the science clearly establishes is the direction of effect. People who maintain even mild ketosis show lower inflammatory markers associated with cancer progression, lower fasting insulin levels that correlate with reduced cancer risk, and better mitochondrial function that supports the DNA repair mechanisms your body needs. You're not just removing a fuel source from cancer cells, you're rebuilding the internal environment that makes cancer harder to develop in the first place. Mechanism 4. Building muscle while losing fat, even after 50. Sarcopenia, age-related muscle loss, affects 30% of people over 60 and 70% of people over 80. And here's what most people don't realize. Losing muscle doesn't just make you look or feel weaker. It lowers your metabolic rate, weakens your immune response, and significantly worsens outcomes across virtually every serious illness, including cancer. The problem with standard caloric deficits is that your body burns muscle alongside fat. Roughly 75% fat, 25% muscle. You lose weight, but you lose the wrong kind. MCT oil changes that equation through two specific pathways. First, BHB is anti-catabolic. When ketone levels are elevated, your body reads the signal as energy is available, and it stops breaking down muscle protein for glucose. Second, ketones activate mTOR signaling, the master switch for muscle protein synthesis, through an insulin-independent pathway. Normally, mTOR needs insulin to turn on, but insulin also stores fat. Ketones give you the muscle-building signal without the fat-storing one. The clinical evidence comes from a study by Nosaka and colleagues, published in Nutrition and Metabolism in 2019. 40 adults between 55 and 75, all with mild sarcopenia, placed on identical calorie deficits and exercise protocols. The only difference, one group consumed 14 grams of MCT oil daily. After 12 weeks, the MCT group lost 3.2 kilograms of body fat and gained 0.8 kilograms of lean muscle. The control group lost 2.1 kilograms of fat, but also lost half a kilogram of muscle, confirmed by DEXA scanning and direct muscle biopsies, showing 15% higher muscle protein synthesis in the MCT group. Losing fat and gaining muscle simultaneously is something most nutritional science says is nearly impossible after 50. This study did it with a single dietary addition. One more mechanism to go, and this one explains exactly why the combination with coffee specifically is more powerful than either one alone. Point 5. Mechanism 5. Why MCT oil and coffee? Together create a synergy that multiplies the effect. Caffeine increases fat oxidation by roughly 29% in adults. Here's how. It inhibits an enzyme called phosphodiesterase, which raises cyclic AMP inside fat cells, which activates hormone-sensitive lipase, the enzyme that releases stored fat from adipose tissue into your bloodstream. In plain language, caffeine opens the doors of your fat storage cells and tells them to let go of their contents. But here's the catch. If that released fat isn't burned immediately, it recirculates and gets repacked into fat cells. You need active metabolic demand to capture what caffeine releases. That's exactly what MCT oil provides. Ketone production creates immediate fuel demand. Your liver and muscles begin oxidizing fat the moment BHB levels rise. Caffeine opens the doors. Ketones burn what comes out. Research measuring the combined effect found this. Caffeine alone raised fat oxidation by 29%. MCT-derived ketone elevation raised it by approximately 25% independently. Together, the increase was 51%, more than 120% greater than either alone. Not additive, multiplicative, because the two mechanisms are complementary. This is why timing matters. Drinking your MCT coffee first thing in the morning, in the natural fasted state you enter during sleep, captures all 5 mechanisms at their peak. Insulin is at its lowest. Glucose isn't competing with ketones. Fat oxidation pathways are already primed. And BHB, which rises slightly overnight during fasting, gets a major boost right at the moment your stem cells, your cancer metabolism, and your fat-burning systems are most receptive to the signal. Here's what to do. Step by step. Step 1. Get the right type. Not all MCT oils are equal. Avoid products heavy in C12, lauric acid. It behaves like a long-chain fat and doesn't convert to ketones efficiently. Look for pure C8 or a C8-C10 blend. Read the label. Step 2. Start slow. Begin with 1 teaspoon, about 5 grams, on your first morning. Hold there for 3 to 4 days. If your digestion is happy, move up to 1 tablespoon, around 14 grams. This is the clinical dose from the Nosaka study. Don't rush this. Your liver needs time to adapt. The people who say MCT oil doesn't agree with them almost always started at too high a dose. Step 3. Blend it, don't stir it. If you pour MCT oil into coffee and stir with a spoon, it floats on the surface. The absorption is poor and the effect is blunted. Use a blender, immersion blender, or a strong milk frother. Blend for 15 to 20 seconds until it looks like a latte. Smooth, creamy, uniform. Optional but recommended. Add 1 teaspoon of grass-fed butter or ghee. It extends ketone production, improves texture, and adds butyrate, a short-chain fatty acid that supports gut lining and gut stem cell health. Step 4. Time it right. Drink it within the first hour of waking before eating anything. Then delay your first meal by 2 to 4 hours. Most people find the combination of caffeine, MCT oil, and fat produces enough satiety and mental clarity that delaying breakfast feels easy, not like punishment. During that window, protect it. No food, especially no carbohydrates, which will spike insulin and shut down ketone production immediately. Step 5. Build the context around it. A modest calorie deficit of 300 to 500 calories per day. Resistance training 2 to 3 times per week. Body weight exercises work fine. 20 to 30 grams of protein within 2 hours after your workout. These are the supporting pillars that turn a good morning habit into a complete metabolic reset. Here's what we covered today. After 60, mitochondrial decline, stem cell depletion, and glucose dependency accelerate together, and they drive each other. C8 MCT oil, blended into your morning coffee on an empty stomach, triggers 5 distinct biological mechanisms: visceral fat oxidation, mitochondrial biogenesis, stem cell protection, cancer-hostile metabolic environment, and muscle preservation while losing fat. The synergy with caffeine multiplies the fat-burning effect to more than 120% greater than either alone. Start with 1 teaspoon, blend it, drink it fasted, delay breakfast by 2 hours. That's it. That's the protocol. If this kind of evidence-based breakdown is useful to you, subscribing takes 2 seconds, and it's the easiest way to make sure the next video finds you. I put a lot of work into making this research accessible, because I genuinely believe that understanding your own biology is one of the most powerful things you can do for your health, at any age, but especially after 60. So if you learned something today, hit the like button. It tells me this type of content is worth continuing, and it helps other people in the same situation find it when they need it. And drop a comment below. Tell me your age, tell me what your biggest challenge is right now. Energy, weight, sleep, whatever it is. I read every single one, and your questions directly shape what I research next. You've already taken the first step by watching this far. That tells me you're serious about your health, and serious people get results. I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourself.